Welcome to the Ronin Geek podcast, where we break down the hottest franchises in gaming, movies, and TV, analyze the essence of each, and discuss their strengths and weaknesses. The question we're looking to answer: do these franchises stay true to their roots and stand the test of time? This is Alex Austin. With me in the room today we have...
This is plebeian Rick Adam.
That was very good.
No, it was terrible.
Did you practice that?
Not at all.
So
I just thought of that right now.
Yeah. I should have. Well, gee, plebeian Adam, I had a topic today.
Oh, jeez, plebeian Adam. Oh, God.
If you can't tell, the topic that we're going to be talking a little bit about today is Rick and Morty, making headlines for so many reasons lately. I mean, you got High on Life, you got Rick and Morty the show getting into a new season, you got Justin Roiland being an absolute monster, maybe, probably. So like, it's just
it's not official.
It's not official,
but there's a lot of screenshots out there.
You gotta figure if a judge somewhere is willing to set like a $50,000 bond, then they're pretty certain something's up, and they don't want this guy running.
The thing is, there's been a lot of we're kind of jumping into it, but there's been a lot of accusations. We're like, oh, this person did this to me, they said this, and it's a lot of, well, they said this to me 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And then in this one, because it's kind of within the newer age, there's like, oh, no, I've still got the text messages and private DMs from here. Here's the screenshots. And you're like, ooh.
Yes.
You're like, that's not a he says, she says, my friend.
And in regards to, because we're going to talk a little bit about today, so trigger warning for people who might be sensitive listeners about potential for domestic violence or assault and battery, things like that exist within these charges. Yeah, the stuff can't hide anymore. There's no place for it to hide. I mean, in the modern era, people are getting rooted out pretty quickly for this stuff, as we've seen over the last few years. There's
a lot of good things that have come from, I'd say, I don't want to say the social media, but from the age of constantly recording and seeing everything.
Yeah.
A lot of discoveries that are being made public that we're good of, but there's also bad stuff where it's like, hey, you were a teenager and you did something stupid that's easily forgivable.
Yeah, it
comes back to haunt you.
I think the biggest difference, and we're seeing it kind of play out with this one as well, is there's a public figure. They've done something wrong. They've been accused, rightfully or wrongfully, and someone else who may have been hurt by them as well now actually has like a platform to actually come forward and say something. Because previously, call it 20 years ago, the platform would have been, well, can I get on the news?
Yes.
Like, how else can I get the word?
It's not only that, but there's a sense of isolation because no one has a platform to talk about it. And as soon as one person has the strength to come up, everyone else who didn't have that strength now has a joint effort.
That's right. And good for them. They should. Unfortunately, there's the dark side of the internet as well, which is the bandwagoning. So obviously some things have to happen here for Mr. Roiland to see if this comes out. But we're going to get into that. So I did want to talk about a little bit about Rick and Morty, the background, kind of where it comes from, the fandom as it currently stands. And I thought it'd be fun to maybe take a look at the episode synopses. Got to pick out our couple favorite episodes, maybe one from each season.
Okay.
Just say like which one we think is the best one.
I don't know if I could do one from every season because they kind of blur together for me, but I can definitely think of some good ones.
I can think of some standouts from each season that I think would be very well.
I think what we're really trying at this point in time, just because of the news, I think at this point in time is normally we talk about a franchise and we say, hey, are they keeping to? I think almost because of the leaving of Justin Roiland, this is almost an episode discussing, is it worth saving?
Yeah.
Is it worth getting past Justin?
Well, we'll build up some of the value here. So obviously the show being mainly about Rick Sanchez, the grandfather's grandson Morty, and their adventures together. It's a little bit like a takeoff of Back to the Future. This is a classic Doc Brown and
that's what it was based on.
Yeah. And fuck.
Doc Brown and Marty McFly.
Thank you. You know what I was thinking of? Clint Eastwood. I was thinking of the third movie. And I'm like, this isn't right. This isn't right at all.
All I can imagine is him sitting there with Biff. Do you feel lucky, punk?
Yeah. I just remember that. Maybe it's because the most recent one, I just watched all three of them not too long
ago.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, those movies. The Back to the Future franchise. Back to the Future 2. My new favorite. I will say after that watch.
I always kind of thought it was my favorite to be. I think I was the weird one when I thought it was my favorite.
Yeah.
But I do like it.
It's a movie that's clearly set up in 3 acts, and each one kind of has like its own sort of mini story arc. And it's brilliantly written. Anyway, I digress. Let's go into what is probably the best of the Back to the Future series, which is Rick and Morty. So this is easily Well, it's a cartoon. It airs on Adult Swim in the U.S. and Canada. And who the hell else knows where else it airs elsewhere in the world? I have no idea.
It's on Prime, actually. I usually watch it on Canada Prime.
On Prime, yeah. Is it current? Like, does it keep up with the episodes?
I find that it's weird. It'll skip some episodes.
Yeah.
And then it'll eventually appear a little later. It's really weird. I don't know if it's contractual or if the system just sucks.
Probably.
I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, pretty brilliant show, though. It's a cartoon. One of the more creative series out there, I think, in terms of what they're doing with the storylines and with the characters in the show. Mostly just comical, sometimes kind of bordering daring, though. I know there's... even moments I'm thinking back to the first season, some really dark moments with like Rick's character, you know what I mean? Where it's clear he's like sort of contemplating like suicide or something like by the end of the episode. And I'm just thinking like they do some really daring stuff with the show and the characters. But I think moreover, it's just brilliant sci-fi. Like,
well, I think that's one thing that's really good about it is they have this nihilistic mentality.
Yeah.
But they also show that nihilistic mentality is destructive.
Yeah. Correct.
And it's very clever that they're like, oh, yeah, you viewers like the nihilism and you think that's what's cool about the universe? Look what it fucking does to this guy and how it destroys him.
That's right. And then, and I like, too, that the viewers, even to some extent, fans of the show, are relatively abused by this concept as well. So because the episodes and the storylines, you're not... Let me just put it this way. Spoiler warning ahead, for anybody who hasn't seen the show, maybe wants to start watching it. But, like, the Rick and Morty characters you're watching now are probably like not even the Rick and Morty that the show started with.
Oh,
if anything, maybe just the Rick. But it's definitely a different Morty.
That's definitely possible.
Yeah, it's interesting in so much as the characters are getting swapped in and out with parallel universe versions fairly often, or they meet parallel universe versions fairly often.
Yeah.
And most of those lead to destruction, although there were some episodes like Beth meeting with one of her clones or alternate dimension egos that they kind of like was positive for her.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, but it's just a brilliant show. I quite like it. I quite like this one.
It's one of my favorites because there are some episodes that aren't that great. You can't get a bang when you put out that many episodes. Not all of them are going to be bangers.
But at least like for Rick and Morty, though, a bad episode of Rick and Morty is still better than like
most everything else.
Mediocre Simpsons episode.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So it's kind of great that even at its worst, it's still one of the best.
Yeah.
And I think that's what easily makes it. After this many seasons, what we're on, how many seasons? 6 seasons?
6 seasons in, or the 6th season is currently airing.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on, and I really like the ideas that they that they play with.
Yeah. I think that's in large part, and the sort of breadth they have to kind of play with the sci-fi ideas in the show. That comes from having been produced by William Street, which is from Ghost Plane Industries. This is the animation house down in Georgia. So down in Atlanta, and so this is where Adult Swim has produced all their cartoons over the years, starting all the way back in the day, if you can recall, with Space Ghost, Coast to Coast,
yes,
C-Lab 2021, all these shows, right? Like just so many classics coming out of William Street over the years. A lot of brilliant productions, as well as live action productions. Like I know, Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, stuff like that. Some really good live action productions. Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job. All of that stuff.
I think they're also tied to. Are they tied to Fermulon in any way?
Probably. So you can check it out here, see what they're all affiliated with.
No, not necessarily William Street, but I'm just
interesting.
saying.
I didn't know they were a unit of Warner Brothers.
Of course, Warner Brothers is one of the main companies that owns everything in the world. Everything is owned by Warner Brothers in some way, shape, and or form.
I'm making a face right now because I didn't realize that. That's very, very interesting new information I've added. So to my knowledge, Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh
my God. Absolutely incredible show.
Harvey Birdman, attorney at law.
Ooh. Oh, man. Habeas corpus, Bar the attorney. Remember that show? The theme song was incredible. It was so good. Oh, my God. Over the years, you got to go and look this up on Wikipedia, folks, just to kind of see the amount of shows they've been responsible for. Every single one of them, just a wild fuck all balls to the walls, like just
and they're all
trial.
Teenager growth, like it defines certain generations.
A
lot of these,
and none of them are guaranteed successes. None of them. They even strung together the animations from Shenmue at one point into a show. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Oh my God. Anyway, so kind of moving on from there, it makes perfect sense that Rick and Morty would have come from a production house like this. So it's pretty incredible. So the series is originally created by two men, so Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon. Both have been in the news for various reasons over the years. Justin Roiland has definitely dominated the news over the past 3 to 4 months, not only because of his current situation with the accusations leveled against him, which for all intents and purposes seem to be headed in that direction.
Yeah.
And then prior to that, for the game High in Life. So it was actually his
game company.
Yeah, his game company, Squanch Games, that produced that.
Which I think he is now no longer part of.
That is correct. He has stepped down from that, thankfully. And that was actually the most successful launch title on the Xbox Live Game Pass of all time.
Really?
Yes. So it was, of all games that ever debuted on Game Pass, it was the most successful.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So tons of playtime logged. I did end up watching probably, 10 to 12 hours of gameplay from it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found this Australian streamer that seemed pretty funny, and I was watching him. So, but anyway, the game looks awesome.
It's probably one of the only games where I really wouldn't want to hear from the guy playing the game, because the inside game comedy is where it's at.
Well, he's funny because he's just like one of those, like, oh, this is happening, like one of those guys, like, oh, what the hell,
like a Taika Waititi type.
Yeah. He's really easy guy. I wish I could remember the guy's name and shout him out, but he was doing a pretty good job of it anyway. So, it's a pretty incredible show. The 6th season has premiered. It is only 10 episodes. I don't know, must have run through all the episodes of season 6 at this point. And then at that time, right after that, there was actually 70 new episodes ordered. So that would have taken them all the way up through season 13. But now they're saying, following this current episode of Justin Roiland parting ways with the production and everything, that they may only make it to season 10.
So here's the deal. Is it's possible. They did say that they've already written the next, like, two seasons. They've already written the next 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
The only thing they haven't done is voiced it.
That's right.
They need to just basically get someone in to find and fill in the voice.
So what you're saying is there's a casting director somewhere in the deepest annals of William Street who's about to hear like 3,000 like mediocre like voiceover, like recreations. For people.
And
like,
a lot of burps
impressions.
and farting noises.
Yeah. If that person's listening, you can go back to the beginning of this episode. You can hear exactly how me and Adam sounded.
You can see our audition.
Adam. Oh, gee, Adam, we should go. We should do a podcast now.
Oh, gee, Rick, I don't know if I could do the show, Rick.
I don't know if I could do a Rick.
I can't do a Rick.
Well, you tried.
I can't even do a Morty.
Yeah. Well, gee, Morty, you gotta go. Gotta get out of here. We're real busy in here. Come on,
Morty. We're gonna have to take that job and shove it way up there. You gotta shove it up your ass. Shove it way up there. I can't do it. I don't have the gravelly enough voice.
Anyway, yeah. So the voices are pretty brilliant, and if that and creating the show is the legacy he leaves behind when he's probably inevitably in jail, then hey, good on you. You did something good. You did something good. But hey, you know what? Innocent until proven guilty in the US of A, unless it's on the internet.
That's so true.
I thought it would be fun to kind of go through. So we kind of talked what it's a little bit about. Some of the side characters in it are absolutely brilliant. One character I always kind of go back to is the dad. Is his name Gerald?
Okay, what?
No. Wait, what's the dad's name?
Jerry,
thank you. Yeah. Super funny.
Oh,
Super
yeah.
funny. Yeah.
He's grown from an idiot to a lovable idiot.
Yeah. He is absolutely a lovable idiot, because I think it's somewhere maybe around season 3 or 4 where they started doing more episodes with him, and it turns out he really is all about his family.
Yes.
So that was the time when they were going through the divorce or whatever.
Is that the season 3 or 4? Yeah. Those are great episodes. They really did a good job with him.
And the way he was living, like, just absolute destitution.
The thing is, they beat on him so hard that you can do nothing but feel bad for him.
In one episode, they take him, and there's like it's the whole family on this mission, I remember, and they end up on this in some sort of crossroads of parallel universes, and there's like this Jerry drop-off point.
Like a daycare. The Jerry daycare.
Yeah, but they get dropped off and they don't get picked up. So it's like all these different Jerrys in there.
Or they're mixing Jerrys. Like, I don't even know if they're the right Jerry for that universe.
They don't even know. They're just totally interchangeable. Oh my God. So good. So good. The writing is actually pretty brilliant. I was just curious.
I find it so weird that they're allowed to get away with not filling in plot. Like, they built a system.
Yeah.
That I don't care if you've got a plot hole. It's solvable in some way in their universe because their universe is so loosey-goosey.
That's right.
And we accept that. They've built this form of universe that the hard rules say that there are no rules.
That's right.
And we all kind of look at it, and it's not a level of suspend your disbelief. It's a no, this is the universe they live in. Yeah. We accept this is possible because anything is possible if you have infinite universes.
And it makes sense. Some brilliant writing from Dan Harmon. He had worked on Community before this. It was a huge hit.
Famous
sitcom.
For that,
yeah. And that's kind of where he got his start in the industry. So writing this, it just makes perfect sense that it would be that good. Let's see. There's also other writers, first season staff that sort of established this. Tom Kaufman, Ryan Ridley, Wade Randolph. So lots of people, lots of industry people in here, kind of kicking this thing off.
Fun news for, I think it was background art. Someone we knew worked there as well.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. An old school friend of ours.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's a good way to get started. So hopefully. I
don't think they were working on it because they've changed production or development companies since then. Oh,
gotcha.
So I think he's off the show now.
Yeah.
But no, it's great. I think we kind of both agree that the show is still good.
Yeah.
This isn't an argument over whether it's still good. Is this worth saving?
Yeah. I think following season 6 and kind of seeing the direction, I like that they kind of at the end of season 5, that was the big sort of big plot moment where all of a sudden you end up with sort of an evil Morty.
Oh yeah.
So which is, I guess, a turn for the better in terms of storytelling, turn for the worse in terms of the Rick and Morty dynamic, yes. Right? And I don't know that they really took a lot of time to kind of resolve that in season 6. Yeah, it's an interesting
season
one.
6 is when they put out Rick Prime.
Yes, sorry.
Season 6 was the kind of the start, like the story of Rick Prime.
Yeah,
where it was funny because, and that's one thing is Justin Roilander always wanted to my understanding when you listen to interviews and read stuff, Justin Roilander was more about that nihilistic stories shouldn't match or tie together, whereas Dan Harmon kind of wanted longer storytelling.
Yeah.
He obviously wanted some of that nihilism too, as well. So, but that's where we get the longer storytelling. Is he's winning the arguments more and accepting it more, and the fans want it more. So therefore, he's winning it more. But what I'm thinking is, let's go through some of these seasons, talk about our favorites of those seasons. I don't know if we'll be able to get to each one. It'll be difficult if you scroll up. You are down.
I was really reading.
You are awful at this. So I think what we should do is take a look at, I don't know if we want to take a look at each episode or each season and then kind of pick something good. Because the problem is normally we sit here and we talk about the bad.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, there really isn't much. Hilariously enough, this is one of the ones where, we talk about what defines a franchise.
Yeah.
And we don't really talk about the fandom always saying what defines a franchise.
Wow. It first aired December 2nd, 2013. Holy shit.
Wow.
That's incredible. It was that long ago.
I think the first, this is probably one of our first ones where we talk about the fandom being a strong part of the franchise and what defines the franchise. Yeah. And I think that's actually goes very poor. I think the franchise hurts this one.
Yeah,
or maybe. The fans hurt the franchise.
Yeah, maybe
because there's a lot of fame for them being hostile. It started off with them holding their nose up above everyone else, like, oh, you don't understand the show, it's deeper than you think.
Yeah.
When even the showrunners like, it's not that deep.
Yeah, they're nihilists. Yeah, it's not like that.
It's not that deep.
Yeah.
And then everyone kind of likes
it. That's how it was for a long time, and that's actually what repelled me for the first couple of years it was out, because I remember I was late to the party on this one by a couple of years, and when I got into it, obviously I loved it, so it's right up my alley. So it's like this big takeoff comedy, sci-fi show. But that did turn me off as a fan coming into it. And it was a little bit intimidating coming into it partway in when it was all these people who were already on board with it to that extent, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe we're reading too much into it at that point.
No, I think that was the big problem with the fandom. I think that partly defines this fervor of a fandom, which is the kind of fervor that goes because they made a statement like, oh, the Szechuan sauce, which is it's now a famous event, where they, demanded McDonald's bringing down the Szechuan sauce because there's such a fervor energy with this fandom that if they say the wrong thing in their show, they could light up another company easily.
Oh, totally. And they definitely did do it with that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm looking over the episodes on the first one. There's so many episodes in the first season that were like kind of iconic for the show, like Anatomy Park. Lawnmower Dog is up there. Raising Gazorp, I think, was pretty brilliant as well. Oh, yeah. And then
Rick Potion number 9.
Yeah. I'll click that one there.
If you don't remember this one, okay, if I'm going to choose one for this season, it's really hard to decide between Meeseeks and this one, but I got to give it to this one.
Yeah. Oh, I do remember this. Yeah, he gets the powers, but he's unable to control them, and he becomes like a god by the end of the episode or something.
No.
So this is one with Jessica, right?
Yes, but this is the one where he gives a love potion, but if it mixes in some weird way, it makes them into Cronenberg versions of themselves. He doesn't get powers. He turns the entire world into Cronenberg versions of themselves. And this is the first episode where they just completely jump ship. And they jump to another universe where they were supposed to die in like a garage explosion.
Yeah.
And they just bury their bodies and move on. They completely abandoned the original universe. So
this was potentially like the very first episode where the entire cast was like swapped out.
Yeah. Except for Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty were the only ones that moved on to the next one. So that original universe, the Jerry, the Beth, and they are not the same that they've been ever since the beginning.
Right.
No matter how you do it, because
they would have mutated into giant mantis people.
Yes. Yeah. So I think for the first season, I got to give it to this one as like the best one because it changed the face of the show.
That does become pretty representative of the changes that the show goes under throughout the years. Too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Is it the same character? Is it not the same character? Lawnmower Dog is just a classic. I love it. So
I don't remember which one's that.
Jerry. Where are my balls?
Oh, yeah.
What have you done with my balls?
Yes.
The dog dons a mech suit and becomes like sentient.
Summer, where are my balls?
Yeah, Summer. Yeah, Summer. Where are my balls?
I love that one. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
So good. Season 2. I'm going right toward Get Swifty. So was that the
Swifty?
That was the song one, right?
That was a Show Me What You've Got. I'm guessing.
Show me what you've got. Like so, there's basically like I don't know, these sort of deep space godhead things that come floating over the planet that they're on, and they're basically running like a talent show.
Yeah,
a la America's Got Talent or something like that, and they're demanding some sort of performance from them, and they have to put on the greatest performance in like the history of the universe to save the universe or something to that effect. And they end up making a song called Get Swifty, and it's horrendous, but that's why it's so funny.
I think the best part of that was the iced tea, like I'm free. I will protect you. Man. I think if I can remember correctly, the Wedding Squanchers might have been my favorite one again, because that's the one where I think Birdman is getting married and you discover more. Yes, this is the one.
Oh, I remember Bird Person. Yeah.
So this is what the thing I liked about this one was
a great recurring character.
Great recurring character. I actually don't care about the whole story with Bird Person and the bride. What I cared about was the ending of this one. Which, holy shit, this was season 2?
Yeah.
Okay, I felt like this was like season 3 or 4, where they went to a planet where it was everything on the cob.
Yeah.
And then they went to another planet where like, oh, this doesn't seem so bad. And the sun comes up and it's going, oh, that was great. When they went to each of the different planets, one of my favorite skits ever.
I love this ending too. Rick being captured by the Federation. He's transported to a prison planet, and under the charges of having committed everything, Rick is incarcerated indefinitely.
Yeah, it's great. That was a great one. I really liked.
Oh,
that
Mr.
one.
Poopy Butthole.
I mostly just liked the ending where they went to the different planets, and it was like everything's on a cob. Go get the car. Get out.
Anyway, that's the highlight from season 2. Season 3. Pickle Rick, yes.
You know what? A lot of these episodes, they seem very like I feel like they were in later seasons than they were.
Yeah, honestly, some of the real bangers were early on. I think Pickle Rick is one of the bigger memes to have come out of this thing. So if you've ever seen a pickle with eyes and have a stupid smile, that's Pickle Rick. And this was like a dare for him to be turned into a pickle and to just be resourceful.
Well, it wasn't a dare. He really just wanted to get out of going to therapy. Family therapy. Right. Yeah. And he made up a dare just of reasons. And
then, so this is the one that, so he ends up becoming like, I don't know, like a pickle, like a mech pickle.
Like a mech
and he's
pickle.
Like attacking rats, but then, isn't there like a snake situation where there's
like, a snake, and then there's one where he ends up going up against like a cartel at the end.
Yeah.
I think it was a cartel.
Like a snake cartel, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think this one
of the bloodiest episodes, too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I think this one, this season, I must say, goes to Morty mind blows for one scene and one scene only.
What's that?
There's one memory where it shows Morty like balancing.
I love Morty mind blowers.
Yeah, Morty mind blowers are great ones where he has like that like head.
Yeah, so every terrible memory that Morty has, Rick somehow gets out of his head. So he doesn't remember,
or just not like necessarily terrible memories, but memories that would have damaged him.
But he keeps them all in these vials. Anyway, they find the vials and they're reliving some of Morty's worst memories that he doesn't have.
Yeah, and there's one memory that honestly, it's one of my favorite of the entire show, which is it shows Morty like leveling like a table or something with and Rick's like, you think you could fucking find level with a bubble and some water? Yeah. Fuck, I'll show you a real level. It's like, oh, why don't you show me a real level is, Rick? And Rick does all this science and puts together, and then he steps him on true level, and Morty just breaks down and like. And
he's like crying.
He's like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And then they pull him off. He's like, no, the world is a lie and everything is crooked. And they had a Morty mind blower him just because he couldn't imagine true level. One of the greatest skits. I take that as one of my favorite of all time.
That's actually fucking brilliant. You're right. That's actually a great memory from that. Oh my God. So good.
It's funny that like every season they've got more than one banger.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Easy.
They're absolutely loaded. Oh my God, so many of these. Ooh, the vat of acid episode from season 4.
Yes.
Oh my God, I love the vat of acid episodes. This is an episode where they spend the entire episode, Rick and Morty, submerged in a vat of fake acid. Yeah. So and there's this whole, they're running from like some sort of like alien cartel or something, or these alien mobsters. They jump into this thing that looks like a vat of acid, and then what they think. What you would think would happen as the viewer is that just, the guys would see like, they jumped into a vat of acid and just eventually walk away. But they don't walk away. They stand there and they have all these stupid questions. Like, well, if they jumped into the vat of acid and it melted off all their flesh, wouldn't their bones float to the surface or something like that? So then, but Rick and Morty are like resourceful enough. They have like a bones, skeleton to like release and float up to the top. So they're on these ventilators underneath trying to like stay alive. And
I think the whole skit was that like Rick had this really dumb plan, like this really kooky plan that involved him sitting in the acid. It was Rick's plan.
Yeah.
And Morty was pissed off that he thought it was a stupid plan.
Yeah.
And then basically the rest of the episode proceeds to just basically prove Morty why sometimes these weird plans are the right answer because things grow out of proportion.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
They end up like somebody goes to test it and then they fall in and they gotta kill him and like it's it was so good. It was so good.
You know, it's an episode we never mentioned. I thought it must have been early and I just didn't recognize the name of it. I forget which one it was, but it was the Must Protect Summer. Oh, the car one.
Yeah. Oh, that was good too, where it ends up like annihilating an entire city, the ship.
I don't know if it was a ship, but like the squad comes in and starts to fight them.
Morty Night Run. Or Total Recall, one of the.
I don't remember which one it was, but like the ship was said like must protect Summer.
Yeah,
and it started murdering people, and then she's like, no, don't kill anyone, and then it just basically dropped a baby at someone's feet. Yeah, that, like mentally, and they killed themselves or something like that.
It caused him to kill himself. He's like, it's my long lost daughter. Oh my God!
And then it like melted in front of him, and it just destroyed him mentally. I'm like, holy shit! These writers are awesome.
Oh my God, it's so
like good. They are willing to go there.
Oh man. Let's see. So this is season 5, and any standouts here?
Maybe there is something going on that it's not going. It's going a little downhill because we're not recognizing the names anymore.
Yeah, Mortyplicity. Let me just see here. I think this is one where they end up. This episode starts where they're like on an alien planet and like they got like aliens on their head controlling them, but then they realize that and they end up annihilating the entire civilization of these aliens by the time they get away. So yeah, that's amazing.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah. Season 5. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, maybe it does get a little bit softer here. There was also you're right. I can't really associate any of the titles with the show. And then season 6. What was your top from season 6?
I think I really liked Night Family.
Night Family. Yeah. You can tell the good ones too because you can actually click on them and see the full synopsis on Wikipedia. That's how you can tell what the good ones are.
No, I think Night Family was a good one. Yeah. The thing is when I remember the names and I remember what they tied to and I remember what happens. That one was a good one. I didn't really like, they had one, I forget the name of it, where they got really meta.
Yeah.
Right. That had a creature that like sucked out the meta out of you or something. And you had to meta to get out of his story. He tells us he's like the storyteller guy.
Yeah. That was Rickception or something like that.
Maybe that was Rickception. Yeah.
So
I didn't like that one so much.
So I love that one. I thought that was great. Yeah. I love that they kind of had to beat him in his own game to win it. Like it was even the way they beat him is meta. Like it was, it was so ridiculous.
I think it went too far into the meta.
Oh, totally. That's why I liked it. So anyway, it has a pretty cool thing here on Wikipedia. It actually gives you an impression of just views per millions of their episodes.
Wow, this is very interesting to see.
Definitely peaked in season 3.
Yeah,
definitely peaked to season 3,
and that makes sense because we remember all the things up to season 3, and then it starts
season
to go
4
downhill.
gets a little bit fuzzy, and then season 5 and 6. Yeah, so maybe these are ones that we caught after the fact, or maybe
interesting.
Huh? Well,
that's interesting that happens. And it ties to maybe their quality is going down. Maybe do we have an argument for it might not be worth saving?
Yeah, man. I mean,
put it in an archive, let it be as it is, let it die a hero.
I would say that might not be a bad idea. Maybe, I don't know, if they do a season 7, it's risky, I think.
So do you have any episodes you can think of that you didn't like? That you just went, oh my God, this is awful, and it was struggle to get through it?
No, not really. Not really. Like I said, even a bad episode of Rick and Morty was still entertaining, I thought. So,
okay.
Yeah, nothing I can think of offhand. Maybe the dragon one. There was one with the dragon that...
the horny one with like the horny energy or whatever.
Yeah. I didn't think that one was very good.
That's fair.
I probably wouldn't watch it again if it was on, but I don't know. There's not really a whole lot, though, that I probably wouldn't watch again, given the chance.
That's true.
Yeah.
I would probably say that I can remember... I'm not a huge fan of the cable surfing episodes in the older seasons.
Yeah.
What was it? I forget what they call them, the Infinite Cable or whatever episodes where they just did like random skits the whole time.
Yeah.
I didn't really like those too much.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about those. Yeah, when they first introduced Intergalactic Cable.
Intergalactic Cable, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't too big fan of those. But considering that even their worst is like okay, I can live without it. But that's their worst.
What is all this? They've done a bunch of like movie parodies, like shorts.
They do like their ads basically.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's what it's detailing here. It's the non-canonical adventures. 2016 to 2021.
Yeah, so this is like the one where they did like I'm guessing it's the ad where they did like the anime one.
Yeah.
Where they spoke in all Japanese and.
Oh, actually, I like that one.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That was a good one. They've done a couple of those. Actually.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. They did like the samurai one,
and there was also the video game one that was like the whole episode. It was like 10 minutes of just a side-scrolling action game. And I'm like, but why doesn't it just exist? It's really fun.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're talking about that with the show and how I think we both consider the show. Obviously, the show. I think going through the seasons is actually very valuable because it's taught us that it truly is kind of, I wouldn't say going down in quality per se, but definitely going down in not oddity, but
yeah, I mean, I'd say the magic certainly isn't there for me the way it was 3 or 4 years ago. You know what I mean? It's definitely gone down somewhat in that regard. But there's a lot of other stuff that's come out that's taken its place since then. You know what I mean? So like if you're talking like sort of funny, sort of off the wall action sci-fi comedy type things, like The Boys kind of took over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like there's things that just have done it, but done it better. You know what I mean? And maybe even to a higher production quality as well. So
did you ever play the VR game, the Rick and Morty VR game?
No, never did. Did you?
Yeah. It was. What
was it like?
I struggled to say it was a video game. It reminded me of an interactive episode of Rick and Morty where you just stay in one spot, solve a few dumb little puzzles, and then a joke happens, and that's it.
Gotcha. Was that by Squanch Games?
I don't remember.
Anyway, so whether it was or not, then we get into High on Life, which just came out this last year. We were talking a little bit about that earlier. It basically looks like some sort of extended universe Rick and Morty.
Oh, it has to be.
Like the entire thing is animated like Rick and Morty, voiced like Rick and Morty. The comedy is basically Rick and Morty, except there is no Rick and Morty in it.
Yeah.
Brilliant looking game. So I've watched quite a bit of it. I've quite enjoyed it. It is funny.
Yes.
And I love the characters. I love the bounty hunts. I love the characters. It just looks freaking brilliant. Have you played it at all?
No, I've watched other people play it. I'm not huge into shooters, so I'm usually late to shooters.
Yeah.
But I liked the idea of the comedy. I liked the idea of the guns talking and interacting.
Yeah, the guns are basically shooting out of their asses.
Yeah.
So because they're like living creatures that evolve, and like the knife is like this crazy stabby asshole, like it wants you to kill everything in sight. Like it's so funny. So yeah, if you haven't seen High on Life yet, and you're into gaming at all, you should go check it out.
And the good news is none of the money will go to Justin Roiland anymore.
None of it. Yeah, he's out.
If you're against that kind of stuff.
So anyway, so here we are. Now we're talking about Justin Roiland, what happened there. So there is some pretty extreme accusations against him. I know he has chosen preemptively to leave both William Street Productions and Squanch Games.
Yep.
So Squanch Games being something he had founded, or at least co-founded. And now he's going to have to go through a prolonged court battle over this, I believe. So to combat these allegations. I would say that based on what I've read so far and what I've heard is that it sounds pretty extreme, that I think his best case scenario here is to kind of plea out.
Yeah.
That'll be up to the lawyers.
I think what's key is there is a great little behind the scenes thing they showed. And they showed clips of where they were trying to get a what's it called? A performance out of him, like a drunk Rick performance.
Yeah.
And he basically was drinking while he was doing it. And he was just getting drunker and drunker and drunker during this behind the scenes, to the point where he was saying some really dumb shit. Now, obviously, they cut it short and they cut it. It wasn't live, so they cut it so it doesn't seem that bad. But you realize that this guy drinks a lot and has this kind of mentality. It's only a matter of time before, kind of implodes.
Well, and based on some of the stuff he did, because he also did these sort of early animations as well that I've seen that are like they're not even really funny. They're just kind of disturbing. You know what I mean? Like, for lack of a better term, there's one that's like almost like a song kind of going through it. It's really, 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 I wish I could remember the title of it. It's really dark. You can look it up on YouTube. I'm sure it's on there. But it's some stuff that's it's different enough, but it's also like off-putting, and it's not really funny. And there's some other sketches that I've read about that I just haven't gone and looked up yet, where they're like, killing babies and doing like wearing their faces or something crazy like that. Like, just really bizarre stuff that's happening in some of those early shorts that he did.
Man, artists are weird.
Hey, look, I'm all about the art. I'm all about experimenting with new ideas. You know what I mean? But, art kind of goes, art is a two-way street. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, if you're an artist and your goal is to create, hey, create, but I think a lot of artists also want people to interact with what they've made and consume what they've made and be a part of that. And some of this stuff is not the kind of stuff that I think, most people or even a few people would want to be a part of. So anyway, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes and kind of what comes out. That we're still right at the beginning of this. I don't even think there's been like he's been arraigned because he has bond, but he has a bond set of $50,000.
Yeah, it's not much because it's basically been delayed through the courts for a long time already.
Yeah.
And it's basically not really come to light because the courts kept it quiet, and then now it just now hit a point where it has to come out.
Yeah.
Effectively, legally. So he's not officially. He's not charged. He's only charged with stuff.
Yeah.
It's not. He hasn't actually been proven guilty.
Yeah.
That being said, there's also that's not even the charges are basically, if you summarize it, is he beat up someone, an ex-girlfriend, and to the point where she needed medical attention.
Yeah.
And wouldn't let her leave the house.
Yeah.
So that's the charges. That's what we don't know whether or not. But the problem is that that's not really the problem. I mean, it's a problem. But it's not even
a bit of a problem.
That's a problem. But there's also been a lot of people now, because they feel safe, coming out and showing all this other stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
Some of it questionable. Some of it, like, they got themselves into the situation. I grant.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of defense going on. Like, well, they did it to themselves. They involved themselves with him. And he's clearly weird, and he makes weird statements in it. So clearly you're talking to a mad dude. Well,
he's gonna do victim blaming. That's what he's gonna do.
Like, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of that involved, but still, you read into it and you go, yeah, this guy's a fucking creep.
Yeah.
And there's so much evidence towards it. It's hard for me to even. I'm a strong believer in innocent till proven guilty.
Yeah.
But it's really hard when you have such hard screenshots of just weird ass conversations.
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of, some of the more extreme stuff he's created and some of these allegations coming out now against him and hearing about the potential drinking problems and stuff. And it's pretty clear it's painting a particular picture of him that hopefully, you know, we get a clear image of as they go throughout this trial process and we see what's fair and what's not.
Yes.
But you know, hey, you know, best of luck to the potential victims, and hopefully, you know, if there is justice due, that it gets done.
Yeah, there's a good balance of. I think what's important here is we talked in our last episode about whether or not a creator's opinions should impact a franchise.
Yeah,
and that creator is a part of that franchise.
That's right.
This one is completely separate. That he completely cut ties immediately, or I'm assuming they cut ties with him immediately because they didn't want people to boycott them.
Well, this would have been a situation where if he had stuck it out, I would have said boycott that shit. You know what I mean? As opposed to the last one, we were talking about J.K. Rowling and sort of what she's involved in. Well, it's shitty, obviously. So it's hard to say. You know, it's hard to say. You know, should we expect celebrities to be perfect in their opinions as well as their actions? Probably not. It's probably not a reasonable expectation because people are flawed, right?
Yeah.
So, but in this case, this isn't just a flaw. This is someone who made choices
is criminal activity
to harm people.
Yeah. It's very different. You're right.
So,
but luckily he did step away, so it can make us feel a little. You know, we can be okay if we want to support this.
Yeah. And by all means, go and play high in life. He's not involved in it anymore. He's not making money on it anymore. He's out of the company. So I don't know. It's not publicly traded or anything. So it's just he's out. So I would say go and play it, enjoy it. Definitely still a brilliant piece of work if nothing else. But yeah, I guess that kind of wraps it up for Rick and Morty, kind of where it's at.
Yeah, I just want to close out with so do we think it's worth saving? Do you think they've lost their way? Do we think there should be more and more seasons? I want to ask you that, and then I
would say give it a pause.
Yeah.
I would say give it a year and then try to gauge what the appetite is with a single episode or something. I don't think it's worth it for them to go in for the same amount of resources at this point, especially with diminishing returns on the viewership. It looked like it had gotten down as low as, God, I think about 1 million viewers per episode from almost 3 million at its peak.
Yeah. Less than 1 mil.
Yeah. You're talking 500,000. So it's just I don't know that that's really worth it at this point. I think there's probably a lot of shows on Adult Swim already doing better than that.
Probably.
i.e. Family Guy and syndication.
Sadly.
Probably.
You're probably right. And I think that's the worst part is I think it's definitely a show still worth getting 1 or 2 more seasons out of.
Yeah.
Because I don't, even now, we talk about their episodes and how, okay, we're not as memorable as some of the other episodes. But even now, they're still putting out good episodes that we're excited to see.
Yeah.
So it's not like the next season is like, okay, they've proven that it's bad. You know what I mean? Like they're really running out of steam. I still think they've got a few more seasons in them.
Yeah.
But obviously, we'll have to see how this interacts without Justin Roiland involved.
Right.
And that'll be a huge impact to this. But I could, if the company decided not to renew it, I'd probably shake my head and go, yeah, okay, I can see why.
I get it.
It makes sense. But you're right. I think it's worth. I think it's worth keeping at least for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And then just making sure we just have to make sure that the moment it shows any slippage, we're willing to put Lassie down.
Yeah. Take it out behind the old shed.
Yeah.
Take care of business. All right. Well, that's that for Rick and Morty. Maybe the last time we ever talk about it. Who knows? Maybe not. But so I thought we could get into some some playing and or watching, talk about what's going on while we're playing, what we're watching, but also what's going on in the news, what's happening out there. So some current event stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, actually, I do have one gaming topic I'd like to cover, but I should say I've seen Avatar. I finally got.
So did I.
Did you really?
Yeah, just this weekend. Yeah,
awesome. So did we. Yeah, we went on Saturday night for my birthday.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you guys go Saturday night?
We went Friday night.
Oh, okay. So you saw the day ahead of us, but yeah, cool movie. I had a good time.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, I had a good
Are you
time.
fucking serious right now?
Yeah, it was good.
It was an awful movie.
No, I enjoyed it.
It was an awful movie.
I fully enjoyed myself. There was a lot of action, which was cool. So a lot of violence. Enjoyed the violence. I think that they have taken the sort of like, I know there's like, I don't know, a bazillion more movies they're making of it, but I feel like they've already taken the tribal sort of elements kind of as far as they could like realistically push them at this point.
Okay, they did that in the last movie. This movie was just terrible.
So so let's dive into what made it terrible first, because you seem to hate this.
I despise
Avatar 2. Why do you despise it?
Okay. They felt the need to bring back the same villain.
Yes. No. He's blue now.
Yeah.
Spoilers abound, by the way.
Okay, so they put a whole bunch of effort into bringing this guy back so he can wipe out the.
What is his name?
I don't know. General Scarface and Buzzhead.
See, like nobody. I was even asking Matt. I'm like, what is this man's name afterwards? I forgot what his name was from the first movie.
I'm sorry,
just watch the first movie again.
If you don't remember his name, that tells you how bad it was in the first place. Generally.
Oh my god.
No, it's awful. So they spend money to bring this guy back, and then they give him
Quaritch.
Sure, yeah, that's about right. Yeah. So they bring this guy back, right?
Yeah.
And their decision is to spend a bunch of money bringing him and his squad back.
Yeah.
So that they can help him wipe out the Na'vi.
Yep.
And then to give him resources. Remember, this is a place that now has a city. Yep. The bad guys, the spacefarers, the humans, now have a city. So they have a lot more resources than they used to.
It is like a giant factory, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They decide your job is to lead the crew and to be a special forces to go deal with killing Jake
Sully.
Jake Sully?
Yeah.
Is it Jake Sully?
Sullivan.
Yeah, whatever. Sam Worthington's character. And they do that and they go,
Jake!
Here's this you're our special squadron. Here's a fishing boat and a fishing boat crew.
No. They commandeered a fishing boat, thank you.
Yeah.
But that being said, the fishing boat had a lot of weapons on it. Had a lot of ordnance, had a lot of weapons.
Yeah, for a fucking fishing boat that fights fish that don't fight back.
Yeah, when you're fighting fish that don't fight back, you need a lot of bombs, okay?
Yeah.
So, very complicated measures of floating them to the surface.
It's just the reasons they have for not just, having the mankind. Okay, here's another thing. Clearly, mankind can just wipe away an entire forest with a ship.
Yeah, I noticed that. So at the beginning, they're landing their new ships, right? Or their new, sort of landers. They're dropping them off from these ships. And on their way in, they're sort of like an afterburn. They're sort of descending slowly onto Pandora. And they're just torching the surface, for miles and miles and miles and miles around. And then I was thinking probably the same as you were thinking, why don't they just do that? It's just all over.
So I had this whole problem with this whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, they got their ass kicked. They got kicked out.
Yep.
Right? Because they came here for the unobtainium. Unobtainium. That's not a joke. That's not me sitting here using a funky word. That's literally what it's called.
No, it's not.
In Avatar 1, it's called unobtainium.
No.
Yes.
I refuse to believe this.
Look it the fuck up.
I refuse to believe this.
So in Avatar 1, they literally went to Pandora, which is a legitimate actual moon of a planet in in the nearest solar system.
Yeah, that's inhabited by blue people. Just like real life.
Yeah, just like real life. They went there for that. So now they come back and they go, well, no, Earth is dying, so we've come to this planet so we can make it planet Earth 2.
Yes. Well, that was the mission of the second film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you choose a planet that you can't breathe on?
I thought about that too. So, you can't breathe on it. That being said, I think they were looking at it from a standpoint of, just natural resources.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Because they have the unobtainium, or, I guess they do call it unobtainium.
Yeah.
Fucked. And so apparently, now what was that supposed? That was for energy conduction of some sort.
Is that what it was? I don't remember the
reason.
Now,
the thing that they're after in the second one, along with colonizing this planet, as colonizers are wont to do, is brain goo from the whales.
Yes.
So they're
because it literally provides immortality to humans.
That's right.
So they went from obtaining unobtainium, to then realizing that they can get this stuff from these whales.
Yeah,
that they don't introduce the whales until 3/4 way through the movie.
Well, 2/3 of the way in. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, 2/3 of the way in. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
2/3. This movie doesn't know what it wants to be. First, it's a story of a squadron, one family versus a squad, another family.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost family versus family of evil Marines versus a family of Na'vi.
Yeah.
Then it turns in
versus another family of Na'vi.
Yeah, and then it turns into a teen angst drama.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it turns into an entire Michael Bay movie.
Yeah.
What the fuck is up with this movie? It doesn't know what it wants to be. Doesn't know what it wants to be about. Its graphics weren't even particularly amazing. The first one was kind of famous for, fancy graphics.
I thought the visuals were very good.
They were fine.
Yeah.
They were fine, and that's the problem.
There was some moments with the militaristic Na'vi.
Oh yeah, definitely there. Yeah.
Avatars that I thought were a little bit weak.
Yeah.
I was actually a little bit surprised by the difference between the quality of Sully and his family versus them.
Yeah,
like there was I thought there was a clear difference in quality, and maybe that was just my perception, but I really felt like when I was watching it, like, oh, like there's a noticeable difference here, just in like the facial expressions, and I noticed when the avatars for the military guys were kind of like looking ahead at something. It was almost like it was just they weren't looking at anything. Oh. So I didn't get that impression from the other main characters. So the other Na'vi. So yeah, and then I thought that the Way of the Water Na'vi. So the big handed ones with the big tails and everything.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cool detail that like they evolved slightly differently because of their affinity for water. But what I didn't like is
not how evolution works.
Yeah, but they look so well. It's how natural selection works. So they would have been the dominant.
If there's enough time, for them to have changed their entire tails, they probably inside changed their lungs and breathing capacities.
Yes.
Right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
They changed their arm shape, right, to be fins, and they changed other stuff. If there was enough time for them to evolve those changes, those two races would not speak the same language.
I see what you're saying.
They would not speak the same language, and likely one would be trying to eat the other.
Yeah.
Now, I grant this is Avatar Pandora world where all things are connected.
Yeah.
So I guess it's logical since whenever they go to the tree, they're all connected.
Yeah.
So they all feel like they're one.
They already knew each other too. You know
that's because I always assume that's because of the tree now that I think about it, because they feel each other through the tree.
So because they were calling Jake Tookma badass or whatever, because he was like the general, fighting against the
he was
invaders.
The chieftain.
And he was already known by the other chief as well, so he respected his deeds or whatever, like because he was a.
I don't know, it just doesn't make much. The evolutionary concept of it doesn't make much sense.
I'll tell you what doesn't make much sense. If we're on this tangent right now, then I'll tell you the things I liked about it. So they set up the story arcs with all the kids.
Yeah.
Some of that was fine. Some of it was not fine. One thing that wasn't fine is like, why are you taking the tiniest one, like Toke, the little girl one, like into every dangerous situation? Like, what are you doing? Like, this is like a toddler. Like, why are you like, you don't take a toddler into like the most dangerous predator prey scenario that you could possibly imagine. It was just so goofy. Like, I don't go to the zoo and hop into like the bear enclosure with my 4-year-old.
Oh, we know how that works with gorilla enclosures.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't go great. Somebody ends up dying. Yeah. We're pouring one out for Harambe right now. So, but that's what kept happening in his film. So the other thing that I thought was ridiculous was, okay, so there was a lot of kids at the beginning. Sully had a lot of kids. I'm like, one of those kids is going to die by the end of this film. I knew it going into that. I'm like, as soon as they saw him, like they're counting up the kids, and I forgot who the first one was by the time they got to the last one. I'm like,
one death possible.
Yeah. I thought they were going to kill 2, actually. So I thought they were going to kill a kid and Neytiri. I thought they were going to kill both. Okay. They didn't, though. They ended up killing a kid, but they killed the most generic one. They killed the one that was basically young Jake Sully.
Yeah. The other best part is one of the kids has the voice of a 60-year-old.
Oh yeah, because it's voiced by Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver's love child.
It is so weird to sit there and listen to a kid have a raspy voice and like I kind of get it. It has like air quotes the wisdom of like an older person.
Yeah, she's supposed to be wise.
I kind of understood the wise part because it's like, okay, she's wise because her air quotes father is supposed to be the planet itself.
Yeah.
I don't know if they never made that clear. They never really solved it openly.
No.
I took that as the truth.
It's strange the things they chose to spend time on in this, because there's that, and then there's also, okay, so oldest son dies, right? So the firstborn dies.
Yeah.
And then the way that they try to like pull on the emotional strings of that is to be like, okay, he's dead. 2 minutes later, we're going to show you the scene where he was like a little fat baby, a little cute fat baby guy, and you'll be really sad because he was once a baby. It's just like that to me struck me as like really weak storytelling, because there wasn't enough that character did in the course of the film that maybe mourned him the moment he died.
It was his younger brother that was more interesting in the first place.
And I thought that would have been a greater loss because I was more attached to the younger brother. He was an outsider. He had a real journey throughout, like a hero's journey throughout. I thought it was actually really good, like his story arc. But then, but there were some things I really liked about it. One was that younger brother. I really liked the younger brother. I liked that they introduced some story threads into this that were very different. I like that they're expanding the world of Pandora, and you're getting not just the other Na'vi tribes, and I'm curious how that's all going to play out in the future. But they're also introducing the sort of mechanical and technical sophistication of the invaders, right? And kind of how they're expanding their operation as well. So I'm curious where they're going to take that into the next film.
Just none of it makes any sense, because if they can communicate through the trees enough to have like communication, understand language to each other, you would think that one of them would be like from Avatar 1.
Yeah.
just so y'all know, we're getting our fucking asses whooped over here, and our planet is being mined to shit. Because they can all feel it, because they all connect to the tree. So none of all the water tribe was like, not my problem.
Yeah.
That's not fucking how they felt. You know that.
It was their war. So that's what they were saying. This is your war.
Except they all connect to the tree, or to the trees, which is AWOL, which is the planet.
Yeah.
And the planet was being destroyed. It's your fucking war.
You figure one tree would be like, yo, like, just so you know, another AWOL tree over there in the mountains, the floating mountains, totally dead. Knocked over by the invaders. What do you think about that? Does it piss you off? It should. But he didn't. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
Trees don't give a shit. So because they
So how the fuck do they talk to each other if they don't even, they're not even willing to fight for the thing they agree on, which is the planet.
Yeah.
They're not even willing to fight for an agreement.
Well, they should be able to see it too, because like, so they tap into the memories of all the dead Na'vi, right?
Yeah.
So that means they would have seen the memories of the Na'vi who fell under the collapsed tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have seen all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, why didn't they do anything about it?
Because they're fucking pieces of shit. Because either, and we both know the real answer.
Yeah.
James Cameron didn't think this far.
Oh, I was going to say because of the whales.
Yeah. They didn't think this
because
far.
Of the whale brain goo. That's what they were trying to protect.
Yeah. I also don't understand the fucking whales.
They're a tribe, and they're smarter than humans. They say they're smarter than humans. Maybe even smarter than a Na'vi.
So what the fuck message do they get across with the whales? The whales don't agree with aggression.
Adam, you need to quit killing whales. That's the point we're trying to get across here.
So they're trying to say the whales are the smartest life form.
Yes.
And they've come to terms with violence is not acceptable.
Basically, same message as Star Trek 4. That's all I'm going to say.
But they've come across the idea that these whales are super smarter than us.
Yes.
And they've determined that dying before doing violence is the smartest, correct path.
Because
morally, intellectually.
More violence.
I get that.
Except when our main characters do it.
I get that.
Yeah.
But then immediately they go, well, this outsider one, he's a weirdo.
He did violence.
Yeah. But then the movie, what's the word? It makes his violence against the bad guys at the end, right? When he lands on their ship and does everything that he does. Yeah. They honor that.
Yeah.
They say, look how cool he is for doing this.
He's so cool for killing everyone.
So what fucking message is this movie trying to send?
That it's awesome to see a dude's arm chopped off with a cable. That's what's cool.
Okay, that was actually pretty cool.
That was fucking sweet. Actually, that whole scene where he flops up on the deck and he's just kicking ass with his fins on the deck.
That was pretty good.
I loved it. I loved it.
I think my plebeian wife Amanda's comment near the last half was, when did this turn into a fucking Michael Bay movie?
Woo! I loved it. I'm ready. Throw in the Transformers. They did. They threw like whatever, like people in mechanical suits. It doesn't matter, man. Throw it all in there.
It was so bad.
I love that. I love the final. My favorite scene in the entire movie was definitely Neytiri's path of absolute bloody destruction.
Oh,
when she
yeah,
got back
awesome.
onto that ship at the end. Coolest scene in the film by far. It was only like 3 minutes long, but she gets back on that ship. It just starts ripping.
They needed
just ripping through.
I needed to see her more like I needed to see her not using a bow, but to see her like just ripping people.
Oh, dude, she was so savage. I think they took it to the absolute extent of what they could
No,
have.
they should have shown her like her bow break and she's just fucking like spearing people with the bow brutally.
Yeah.
They need to show it real, but they can't because it's a fucking PG.
That's what I'm saying, PG-13.
Yeah, they can't.
They did as much as they could with it.
Yeah, man. Anyway, that movie sucks.
Yeah, I think that movie's totally passable, and it was a lot of movie for your money. I'll give it that.
That's true.
It was a lot. If you want bang for your buck, Avatar 2, go see it. Lots of bang for your buck. And honestly, I thought it was a pretty good time. I will definitely be in for the third one. I would just say, counter to your point, it's just a movie, man. Just a movie. It's a big, expensive movie.
We're just so used to better writing and better stuff nowadays. I expect better of Jimmy Cameron.
Yeah, already crossed the line for 6th highest grossing as well, films of all time.
Oh, that upsets me.
Yeah, it's happening, dude. Avatar #1 is still pretty high up there, unadjusted.
I'm just going to rest against the microphone. That's bullshit. That's
so an painful. Avatar Way of Water is now sitting in the 4th spot, just behind Titanic, but still like 600
Wow, it's still below the original Avatar. The Avatar is still above Endgame?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, only because they re-released it.
Oh, my God, and Titanic's still there?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's unadjusted Titanic, which means Titanic is realistically still #1.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. One big thing, though, you should see here. So if you look at like Star Wars Force Awakens.
Oh, God.
So just check out the box office on this one real quick.
Up.
Really, I'm scrolling so fast I can't see it.
You're so bad at this.
I know.
Box.
Okay. This is what I was going to show. Nope, this doesn't help us at all. Anyway, domestic. This film did like something like $750 or $800 million, just domestic, and I think that the Avatar 2 is like a couple $100 million behind that at this point.
Wow. Nice.
So it's just interesting, like just how many more international markets an Avatar film will kind of pick up on.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
a lot more viewership overseas than some of these other American films.
That's fair enough.
Anyway, cool movie. Go see it. You won't be disappointed terribly. You'll just have a lot of questions coming out of it. Like, why?
Why?
Why did this happen?
There is something about James Bond and 007 that I'm not quite caught up on that you were alluding to that I really want to hear about.
There's a lot going on.
What's the story here?
Couple disconnected things, actually. So one, James Bond is back in the news. James Bond 007, specifically around video games. And this is interesting because it's GoldenEye. So it's the classic GoldenEye.
Yeah, what's this all about?
Classic GoldenEye is back out. It dropped on the Switch and on PS4 and Xbox Live. Oh. And basically it is... is it
a remaster, remake, or is it just a direct port?
It's a remaster. It's a remaster. Okay. So it's HD, higher frame rate, definitely runs smooth. Got some questions coming out of it, though. I have been playing it on the Switch.
Okay.
And, it's available on the N64 sort of platform on the Switch.
Have they changed the aiming to not be like the auto aiming?
That is my problem. The controls.
Okay.
It's got problems. So now I know you could get like a wireless like N64 Joy-Con at this point. Like these things are out there. You could get them. You could use that. So that would certainly make things a little bit easier. So, but the thing is like games, in particular shooters, console shooters have come a long way since then.
Yeah, because when this game came out, they had only one controller in the weird N64 controller, which I never understood.
So, and the trouble is with this one is, so since this game came out, so back then you had basically your method of motion, which is like turning and walking forward, but then you also had the C buttons. And the C buttons on the original N64 controller, basically up, down, C button constituted view up and down. You can like look up or down manually, or strafe left and right.
Is that how those worked? Okay.
And strafing was one of the main methods of movement in that game. So it was quite a lot faster, the factor of like maybe a 1.2 or 1.3 faster than walking, right? So I get why that still needs to be in this game. The trouble is you can't change the controls to a modern setup. So for instance, you cannot change the controls to be like left button moves you around, right button looks around.
So right they can't. They're not dual. It's still not dual joystick.
It's still not dual joystick.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably caked into the programming.
Not only that, the only way you could do the firing button is on the top left trigger instead of the top right.
Right, which is pretty normal.
So, well, for right-handed people.
Right-handed people, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it's like a pseudo N64 pseudo like left-handed.
Right, because it used to be the Z underneath.
Correct, and now that's taking the place of Z. So and there's two aim buttons. You can manually aim with either L1 or R1, but then it's the L2 that you use to actually do the shooting. And it took me a while to sort of wrap my mind around. Okay. I'm actually having trouble playing the single player of the game as a result.
That would fuck you up.
Yeah, so
back then it wasn't such a big deal because there wasn't a standard yet,
right?
And we didn't have the dual joystick standard yet.
I mean, if I was on the N64 controller, no problem, I could still do it.
Oh, I would be so frustrated. Yeah. I hated the N64 controller when I had it.
Yeah,
when it was big, when it was the thing.
Right.
As a kid, when I played the N64, all my friends made fun of the N64 controller. Yeah. When it was, the latest console.
Well, that's because it was horrendous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny that like you could put out such a horrendous console controller and yet it's just everyone knows it and everyone played it because they had no other choice.
Yeah. It was so poorly designed. Like it's crazy to think that's actually what we had at that time. And then even like with the GameCube controller that came after, it was still sort of Nintendo half-assing it on dual joystick.
I love the GameCube controller.
So it's functional, but I hated the yellow joystick. I just hated it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It should have just been a regular joystick. Like I don't know why they're doing this tiny. Oh, it's still a C, but it's a tiny joystick.
So good for Smash Bros. Though.
Yeah, it worked. It worked
for Smash Bros. It's amazing.
Because you can smash with it, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's that. Anyway, but it did release also on Xbox Live, and honestly on Xbox Live, I don't even know if you could update the control scheme on that. I think it's a superior version. I'm not actually sure. So, but if it's anything like the N64 one, I'd recommend if you're going to play it, only play it if you have access to one of those N64 Joy-Con type controllers, and do not play it with a Pro controller or with the Joy-Con regulars.
That makes sense.
It's not going to be a good time. Anyway, still a cool game. Still having fun with it. It's definitely worth the play, especially if you already got the N64 console on there. The virtual console. Worth the play. Worth the play. Much better games than some of the other consoles.
I don't know. I think you know what I want again? I want, I call it Slayer's Tag from Perfect Dark.
Which one was that?
So Slayer's Tag was I didn't realize it was such a big, like, famous thing around around the world. You know, it's one of those things where you interact with it in a certain way. And this was before the age of the internet. You would interact with something that was unique to you because the internet didn't exist and you couldn't share ideas. And it would spread among your friends group, but that's where it would die.
Yep. And
then a few years later, I learned that what I was doing, and even the name I gave it, was pretty much universal.
Yeah.
So Perfect Dark had this weapon where it was a rocket launcher. And then what it would do is you'd shoot it. Your character would basically stay there and you could control the rocket.
Oh, yeah, I do.
And the rocket was called the Slayer.
Yeah.
And so what we would do is we would play in certain maps in Perfect Dark. And the whole shtick is you would basically was hide and seek. So you have a moment to hide your character, right? In the best spot you can. And then you'd launch your rocket and your enemy would launch their rocket at around the same time. And the whole shtick was, can you find them before they find you?
That's amazing.
And kill you. And it was called Rocket Slayer's Tag because the Slayer was the rocket. So basically Rocket Tag, but it was Slayer's. And I remember loving this game. I played it so often with my friends because you get bored like the normal 2v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s, or whatever. And the internet came out and people started, like, no one really talked about it for a long time. And then suddenly it kind of got into people's conscious minds.
Right.
And it got brought up on the internet. And it was like, wait a second, I did that too. Wait, I did that too.
Yeah.
And the whole world all kind of agreed, we're not that unique.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, look, if what you're really into is GoldenEye and you really want to play this game, say you're really into the multiplayer, the best way to play the multiplayer nowadays is just a completely different game. It's called GoldenEye Source. Go play it. So, it's GoldenEye, but based on the Source engine from Counter-Strike.
Oh.
It's far better of a multiplayer experience at this point, and it carries all the original maps, all the weapons, except everything works on the newer game engine. It even has all the hiding spots.
And it's got all the mouse and keyboard controls for sure.
Yeah. It just works a lot better for that. So anyway, that's my take on it. Super fun, single player experience. Go play on easy, have fun with it.
Have a little nostalgia
There's
trip.
actually controller cheats that do work still, believe it or not. So I did enter in a couple of those for some cheats.
Nice.
But you can only use them on levels you've already beaten. So
got it. Yeah. So a nice little nostalgia trip.
Anyway, so that's that, and that's also my playing and watching.
I've only got one thing, which is I've gone back and I'm replaying Orcs Must Die.
What's that all about?
So Orcs Must Die is a little kind of indie-ish game where it you play as a character it's a tower defense.
Yeah.
So a wave of orcs come at you and you have to set up traps to stop the wave of orcs.
Okay.
And the whole idea is that's pretty much it. There's a starting point for the orcs and an ending point, and you have to stop them from getting to the ending point. And there's different kinds of orcs that have different powers to do different things, so on and so forth. That's number 1. That was out in 2011. They're at number 3 now. Number 2 is really, really good. It's multiplayer. Number 1's not multiplayer. Number 3, I haven't started it yet. I'm just about to start it. I'm playing it with one of my cousins. So it's a very, very good game. It's a lot of fun just to play multiplayer and fuck around, launch some orcs into pits of acid and shit like that. Lightning them, squash them. It's pretty fun.
Where's the Steam score? I thought it said 10 out of 10.
There's no 10 out of 10 in Steam score. It's just very positive, overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, it's overwhelmingly positive. Wow, damn.
That's for number 1.
Yeah.
And then number 2 was basically number 1 with a few more traps and multiplayer. Number 3 is basically number 2 with a few more maps and a few more traps.
Okay.
And a bit more balance.
Incremental increases.
Yeah, incremental. And that's what they do. They don't care about the story. It's just this same thing. It's kind of the same thing over time. But here's the shtick. It's good.
Yeah.
Like, you can just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again every few years.
Nice.
With a slight incremental change.
Like Worms games.
Yeah, like a Worms game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's nobody wants it to change. Just make slight tweaks.
Keep it basically like it has been, and we're good. Yeah, even the second one, let's see where that one kind of fell. It just says very positive.
Well, scroll up. Just scroll up. You are bad at this.
Yeah, I am.
Just scroll up. Keep going. All the way up to the top. All the way up. Keep going.
This way?
Up. Right there. Very positive, very positive. There you go.
Where do you see that? Oh, yeah.
Recent reviews, all reviews.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It does say that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So yeah, I'm about to start Orcs Must Die 3. I haven't quite started that one yet, but we're about to. It's
Still very positive.
Yeah.
Must be, it actually came out a while ago.
It did.
Wow. Lost a lot of steam between 2 and 3.
Yeah, it did.
Interesting.
Well, because what happened was between 2 and 3, they tried to put out Orcs Must Die Unchained, which was like a multiplayer free-to-play version, and it bombed.
Yeah.
They did not work for them, and they went, okay, let's go back to what we know works.
I can tell you a recent review on here, Lord Gooch on Steam.
Gooch.
Not into it.
Yeah.
Thumbs down, everybody.
Yeah,
Thumbs
he's
down.
wrong.
So
anyway, no, that's it. I don't have anything much to say about it. It's a very simple game. If you want a simple shooter game with some traps, some funny little combos, some funny little comments,
nice.
It's totally worth your time.
Nice.
That's about it.
Yeah, go and check that out. Well, I think that's about all we got to cover today.
Yeah.
We're going to Geekfish Podcast. We'll be back next week. I think there's talk about a special guest. We might have a special guest from Raised by Spoilers.
I don't know if it'll be next week.
Yeah. So his name is either Rich or Rob. We don't know yet. We don't know. He has to come and set the record straight.
Yeah.
And if he's listening, he knows I'm talking directly. He knows to come in here and set this record straight. I'm opening the door. The door is wide open. Come and set
I like how now there's this this subplot beef between you two where there's no beef.
Deep beef. deep, the deepest of beef. So it's a sea of beef, if you will. So, but anyway, we'll have to resolve it on that episode. Hopefully, he comes in and chats with us.
Is this where when we start to have a boxing match at some point?
So, like a celebrity boxing match situation? Yeah. He wins. There you go. He's got the reach. He's got the reach. You see those arms? Definitely longer than my arms.
That's for sure.
So definitely longer. So if you got the reach, you got the win. Because I'm not very fast either. So that's the thing. I don't have the reach. I'm not fast.
You get hit once and curl over.
Yeah. So, plus he's got the look. He's got the beard.
Yeah.
He could probably look really mean if he wanted to. So.
It's really funny when he takes his beard and folds it over his face.
I can look mean. I'll try to look mean to the camera. When they air this, that people can tell me if I'm really intimidating or not.
Check that out on YouTube.
I'm basically just doing this for your entertainment at this point.
Our podcast, our listeners are the podcast listeners are like, what the fuck are they doing?
The faces I just made are probably gold.
Yeah.
Like they should be profile pictures. Absolutely. So anyway, that does conclude this episode of Ronin Geekfish Podcast. If you could, please check out this podcast and also Raised by Spoilers podcast on Bitcade app. I'd really appreciate it. So it's definitely something I have a controlling stake in. So please check it out. It's a good podcast app, though. It's also a place where creators can go to monetize their podcast content. So if you could, please check that out. In fact, Ronin Geekfish Podcast has some bonus content on there. We don't offer a subscription on there currently, although you can if you're a creator. But we do have some bonus content on there for individual purchase. So it's a great way to help monetize the show. Keep it going, and we'd certainly appreciate it big time. Definitely check out Raised by Spoilers podcast. It's a great movie podcast. Definitely leaning more into the cult films too. I love the shtick you guys have going on with that of sort of force feeding yourselves films that may or may not be good, but are always entertaining. And the commentary is just chef's kiss, absolute gold. You guys do such a great job with that. You yourself, everyone's Goth Mom Amanda, and of course Rich or Rob. So which is yet to be decided. And yeah, that's basically it for this episode. Hit us up on the Twitter at Ronin Geekery. At Ronin Geekery.
Let us know what you think about Rick and Morty. What's your favorite episode? And do you think this thing will fall apart without Justin? That's curious.
Yeah,
I want to know.
Definitely. I'd like to know. Cool. Well, that's it.